Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Music and Beyond podcast. I am Ernie Crazy Eyes. Today I have Anthony from Defy the Tyrants. How's it going, bro?
It's going. What's up, Ernie? Thank you for having me, man.
Yeah, man. I got blown away because I heard some of the stuff from y'all's TikTok, and then when
Yeah.
we agreed to the interview, I was just I listened from the beginning, and I was like, holy fuck, like those dudes' vocal cords are crazy.
Yeah. That would be Zach. He's our singer. Yeah, he has an amazing range.
Yeah, bro, like I was not expecting that.
Yeah, I know because when Zach isn't, he's not the new guy anymore. He's been in the band, I think, going on almost 5 years now. So he's no longer the new guy. But our previous vocalist was more of a death metal kind of guy. So when we got Zach, we were like, well, whatever guy we get has to be able to do that. The whole gutturals and all that shit, the fries and whatever. And but it was a bonus that he could sing really well, like
Yeah,
extremely well. And to me, if you were to ask me, he's definitely probably the best singer in San Diego. And that's not just because he's in my band. I actually auditioned for a band for his old band. Myself and our bassist Alberto, we had auditioned for his band maybe like 2-3 years before we formed Defy the Tyrants. So we kind of already had a little bit of a history beforehand. And I remember, like, I think this was like back in 2015, about 4 or 5 years before Zach joined the band. I was like, God, this guy just blew me away. He just blew me away. So, yeah, I've always felt that Zach is probably, if not the best, definitely in the top ranking of singers in our Southern California community.
that's sick, man. And you guys sound really good. Like, you found the missing pieces or the missing piece, which is the singer, and he's a hot killer, no filler, in my opinion.
Yeah, exactly.
And where does the name Defy the Tyrants come from?
So that's a little bit of a story, but I wasn't there. Well, no, I take that back. I was there when we chose the band name. I have this history with any band I've ever been in, which is I'm either not there when the band name was chosen, or I'm outvoted. so,
Oh no.
yeah. So this was definitely of the latter. This was a situation where I was outvoted. It was our drummer, Brandon, who's still in the band. He's also our band leader. He's kind of like the big boss. He's the Tony Soprano of Defy the Tyrants. So it was him and our vocalist at that time came up with the idea of Defy the Tyrants. I think the original name was Down with Tyrants, and we were kind of like, I'm not good. I'm not really good for that. So they ended up bringing up Defy the Tyrants, and I was like, well, if we don't keep Defy the Tyrants, we could just always keep Defy, because I think that's a cool band name too. So we all just went with Defy the Tyrants. Honestly, like, this is like when we formed the band, it was in like the summer of 2016. We went public, I believe, in March of 2017. So we were just kind of working in the garage and just kind of working on music and on our EP at the time. But this was right after Donald Trump was elected into office during the first time. And
Oh, okay.
so we obviously, I think the band itself at the time had a very strong political stance. And I know that some of the lyrics of some of our older stuff definitely leaned a lot more political and more about a commentary on society. The name hasn't really had the same meaning over the years. Definitely, it did have a very political meaning early on. It might have a political meaning as we go forward in the next 4 years. I don't know. But the name has kind of changed a little bit to, it's more about defying the tyrants in your own life, overcoming the obstacles in your life, overcoming the people who keep you down in your life. Definitely a lot less political and more personal.
Yeah, and honestly, I kind of noticed that from listening to the early stuff to what you guys have released this year,
Hmm.
and I love it, honestly. I love both, like the Rage Against the Machine type lyrics and just just different lyrics in all, because I'm a huge lyrics guy, and I'm always listening to them, even if you're yelling at me or screaming or.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a crazy world, and hey, we're back full circle because Well, he's back in office, so here we go.
Yeah, I know that there's definitely like some attitudes have changed somewhat. I can probably say that for I don't want to speak for anybody individually in my band. I think for myself and I'll just speak for myself. Like I definitely know that like my changed very much. Outside of like, all right, like it's it's I'm gonna disagree with it, but I'm also not gonna make it my whole life either. Like
Yeah, yeah.
that
People
was
make
a
it
very
their
different.
personality.
Yeah, yeah. I think at that time it definitely was like this is the first time this is happening. This is unprecedented. So it's I think we've got a lot of people who were against what whatever the Trump administration at the time stood for that they're coming back around again. I think that a lot of people who stood against that are just kind of like just got to get through 4 years. I mean, I personally feel that the Republicans fucked up and chose a candidate that can only serve 4 years when they should have put a lot more effort into somebody that can do two full terms and have more of a significant impact as to what they want to have. When you look at history, when it comes to presidents that serve one term, there's not really a significant impact from their presidency. And it's kind of like, well, I mean, like, you guys got him, but,
Yeah.
I mean, I can guarantee a Republican is not, and that's just based on history. We won't have a Republican president after Trump. We'll go back to Democrats. So it's just always that back and forth.
I
So
just love to watch the world burn, honestly.
yeah. It's interesting. Like it's all interesting to me, but at the same time, it's like I'm also like over it too. I'm over like the political landscape. It's like God, dude. Like, can we just stop talking about this shit and
And go
move
back to
forward?
music.
Go back to music, yeah. Like I do think that there's a time and place when you're a band and you base your lyrics on like political stances and situations like a Rage Against the Machine or a System of a Down or something like that. But I think like you have to be really like in it, right? I think with our band Defy The Tyrants, it's like we were very in it at the time because our singer at that time was very like invested in that kind of like discussion. And Zach, our current frontman, is not really not really like that. Like
Yeah.
he's very much about writing songs about positivity and overcoming and more like uplifting things and not necessarily like, political stuff as much, which I think is a breath of fresh air for us. So
Yeah, for sure. And I
yeah.
mean, everybody wants to listen to something different, like,
Yeah.
not the same type of lyrics or like if you want to listen to political stuff, like go listen to Rage or Fever 333, which I love Fever
Yeah.
333. I can't wait to see what they have to say for these next 4 years.
Yeah. Yeah. It's gonna be fun. I don't think it's gonna be as crazy as the previous one. I think it's gonna be more lukewarm in any case.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
And can you share a pivotal moment in the band's history where you knew you were on the right path?
Pivotal moment in the band's history. I think everybody in the band has a different moment. I think for me it's actually two moments that combine together. The first moment was when I'm sorry, can you hear the noise in the background by any chance?
No,
There's
no.
like some okay, cool. Just double checking. I'm
You're
in
good.
I'm in my home studio right now, but I have the door open, so just just to let some air in.
Oh no, you're good, bro.
But yeah, anyway, the first pivotal moment I would say would be we opened for OTEP in 2017, 2018. I think it was like 2018. We opened for OTEP here in our hometown of San Diego, and we've all been in the scene a long time. We've all opened for other big touring bands, so this wasn't like that special of a thing. I think what made it different is the reaction to us opening for OTEP. There was a strong backlash from a lot of the conservatives in our San Diego metal scene, or in our Southern California metal scene. And a lot of people were saying, well, we're going to picket the show. We're going to rally against it. We're going to protest against it. And we're kind of like, well, we're just on the bill. Like you guys realize that you guys caused these problems for OTEP. Like you're also going to cause problems for us. And I always thought that was a very interesting, situation, but I think that was like a moment when people started like calling us out and having opinions on us as a band. I remember telling the guys like, this our band is a conversation starter. Like we're starting a conversation here. Like this is great. Um, and we became a band that either you loved or you're not too into. I don't want to use the word hate, but you're just we became the kind of band that you had to have an opinion on, and I think
Yeah.
that really helped us gain an audience here in San Diego because we didn't have, even though we had people that became against the band and pushed against like who we were as people, which was fucking nuts because it was just like one OTEP show. It's not like we came out and made a political statement, but we also had people come out and really show their support and show their love, and a lot of those people still come out to the shows to this day here in our hometown. But I think the second pivotal moment, it probably happened soon after that show. I remember we got a message from on Instagram before our Instagram started to build a following. I think we only had a couple hundred people on there. We got a message from somebody, one of our followers, basically saying that they were going through a tough time and they had been listening to our music a lot, and that they were finding strength and hope through our music. And I remember like screenshotting that and sending that into the band chat, and just like all of us were kind of like taken aback. Like this is awesome. This is a wonderful feeling to know that like I think like we'd all been doing this for a while now, and to have that moment happen at that time it was definitely like a north star for us. Like all right, I think we're onto something here. I think we're onto something. So I would say those two moments, like just being a conversation starter and being in a band where you kind of have to talk about it a little bit, and then at the same time, realizing like, wow, our music can mean something to somebody. Like that's really cool too. That's a really cool feeling. I'll say those two moments.
That's amazing, man. And I love that because, I mean, there's been a lot of artists that I go and talk to, and, sometimes I'm just like, hey, man, I talk to you for 5 minutes, and those 5 minutes turn into 30, and then we're in tears, and I'm just like, damn.
Mhm. Yeah, it's always cool to have that because I know for me I've had that. Like Korn is my favorite band of all time. Devil Driver, bands like Korn, Devil Driver, Blue October, who's not a metal band by the way, but
Yeah.
like bands like that, just like their lyrics meant so much, man. Some very dark times they saved me when I was going through personal turmoil. So having that kind of fed back to me is being on the other side of that fence is a really cool experience. It's a really cool situation to be in.
Yeah, and when I met POD for the first time in 2014 outside at a parking
Yeah.
lot, I was talking to the band, and I talked to Sonny and everybody, and I was just like I didn't know what to say. I talked about wrestling and Rey Mysterio, but before they left, I was just like, thank you guys, because I was over here listening to you guys, thinking that you guys were talking about like worshiping somebody else, but I was wrong, and you guys were actually leading me the right way, and thank you for that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny that you bring up POD because we're not just from the
Yeah.
same city as POD. We are literally from the same neighborhood. Like I
Oh,
went
the
to
same neighborhood?
the exact same neighborhood. We're from Palm Avenue, Otay West, which is where I actually went to Montgomery High School, which is where Sonny and Move both went to high school. I had the same counselor, Miss Balthazar, that they did.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I went to school with their nephew. I'm not going to say his name publicly.
Yeah,
Out there.
no.
But I went to school with him. And some other DVD was actually filmed at one of like some of the interviews were shot at like one of the schools in our area, which is really
still
cool.
still paying our dues?
I think that was the one. Yeah, I think it was
Yeah.
actually the school my son goes to. I'm not going to name the school, but I think it was actually like some of the shots were filmed at my son's school, which was my old elementary school.
That's sick, man. I actually have that autographed. I had it autographed that night. I was just like, finally.
Yeah, that's sick. That's sick. Yeah, and we have a lot of strong ties with POD. Our former manager Lou, who's we're still really really tight with. We're really good friends with. I'm going to see him this weekend at our drummer's wedding. Lou actually wrote text for POD. He was really close with Marcos for a few years. He's done a lot of stuff with POD, and I've actually worked with Ruben Torres, who he actually just had his first. I believe he just had a day spoken into his honor here in San Diego, the Ruben Torres Day, and Sonny
Oh,
was there and
wow.
everything like that. And Ruben Torres, I worked with him on a couple music videos for my old band. And he actually, I remember he showed an interest in buying my dad's house, which was pretty cool.
Oh no.
We were shooting one of the videos. My dad had just renovated his house, and he was like, how much would your dad want for this house? I'm like, well, I don't know, man. I gotta, but that's like a whole separate conversation. But yeah, it was a really cool experience working with Ruben. He's worked with like Papa Roach and Snoop Dogg. Obviously, POD. He's in the Southtown music video. And a
Oh,
lot of
he's in
strong ties.
Southtown.
Yeah, he's in the Southtown music video. And it was really cool working with him. So like we have Defy The Tyrants has a lot of strong ties to POD. Outside of like my drummer is friends with Alex, who's covering POD right now on drums. Alex Lopez. So just like a lot of really cool stuff. Just a lot of cool stuff that a lot of really cool fun ties. I know I met Marcos at NAMM, the NAMM convention in LA, when our sponsor sent us out there to work. Not to work, when our sponsor sent us out there, JHS Strings and Tsunami Cables, they had sent us out there to just kind of hang out, and I got to meet Marcos there. He's the only one in the band I've met. I know that everybody's met Sonny, even my mom. My mom has met Sonny at Home Depot, which is right around the corner from, I guess, where we all live. But yeah, so we all grew up. We all grew up together. Well, I mean, not together. We all grew up in the same area as POD, just different generations. I think we're not their age. I think we're like mid 2000s by the time we were teenagers, and they were obviously like 90s kids, So, yeah, I mean, lots of strong ties to POD.
Dude, but honestly, I think that's cool because you guys come from the same neighborhood and like you guys all followed the same musical path, Maybe in maybe like in the same genre, but like in the same music style, but like different, like you guys went heavy metal more than, I guess, what is POD, like new metal?
I think like
or Christian core?
I think a lot of their hits would be considered new metal. I think so. I'm a huge POD fan, but I feel that a lot of their stuff leans more just towards like hard rock. You listen to like the K-Ball Death album. You listen to like Testify, like just like stuff like that kind of like paved the way for their newer sound, their current sound, like Murdered Love and all that. I think that definitely they would probably be more hard rock with some hardcore, strong hardcore influences. Obviously, the reggae influences. The new metal stuff, I know that it's there. Like they have songs that are new metal, but it's not as many as like I think a lot of people think. I think they're predominantly a hard rock, hardcore band than anything else.
And if you would say like let's say, like, who are your Mount Rushmore bands that kind of inspired you to do what you do right now? Like,
the Mount Rushmore of bands that have influenced me would probably be that's actually kind of an easy one. Korn, Devil Driver, Machine Head, and Metallica. I think would be the four.
Nice.
Actually, if I was to rank them, it would be like, as far as like playing, like Korn is my number one all-time favorite band, but I'm probably more influenced by Metallica and Machine Head. So I would just say like Metallica, Machine Head, Korn, and Devil Driver, like those four. I have a Devil Driver tattoo, like that's how big of a fan I am of that.
Oh, sick.
So yeah, I would say Korn, Metallica, Devil Driver, and Machine Head, in no real order, I guess.
I mean, that's a solid Mount Rushmore, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, we've I know that a lot of like the kind of the riffing style comes from Machine Head. We tune low. We have 7-string guitars, so we play in the same tuning as Korn and drop A. I know like we do have some thrashier stuff, so that's where the Metallica stuff kind of comes in. And a lot of
you know what, I kind of did notice that a little bit with the thrashiness and stuff.
Mhm. Yeah, a lot of that comes from our other guitar player, Hondro. So, like, Hondro and I are very different. Like, I lean more, like, new metal, metalcore. Like, that's kind of, like, where my range is. Where Hondro is more kind of, like, tech death, 80s thrash metal, like, stuff like that. So, we have bands that we meet in the middle. Like, Korn is, like, both of our favorite bands. But where I'm a Metallica fan, he's a Megadeth fan. So, we're always colliding, too. So, but it makes for good chemistry. A lot of the thrashy stuff that we do in Defy the Tyrants comes from Hondro.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Dang. Hey, and I'm neither because both bands suck. No, I'm just kidding. I just barely started getting into Metallica, so I know I'm like 50 years too late, but
Ah, you're good.
and what's the creative process? What's the creative process like for you guys when it comes to like writing or playing music? Like when you guys are recording, like what comes
Yeah.
first, lyrics or?
Always the music. So we're just about to finish up our first album. We put out like a bunch of singles and EPs before that. Um, excuse me. We're just about to sign off on our first album, so we're pretty excited about that. And the process for the album is significantly different than the way we used to write. Where for this album, basically what we did is we set up in our studio because we we had a previous studio at the time. And I just brought my laptop. I brought my MacBook, and we were like, hey, let's go ahead. Everyone take seats, and whoever was there, it was usually myself and my other guitar player Hondro. Our drummer Brandon was there a lot too. Basically, all right. So I'm gonna set up a beat on my computer, and we'll come up with a riff. Let's talk about what kind of song we want to write. Talk about what kind of riff we want to do. Start riffing. Hey, try this idea. Try this idea. I would grab the guitar, I would try some ideas. Brandon would pick up the guitar, try some ideas. So the three of us wrote predominantly a lot of, or most of the album musically ourselves. And then that's just kind of how we wrote. By the time we finished what we would call demoing the record, then we did the vocals on top of it. So we would have Zach come in and do scat vocals, basically wah bah ba 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 ba, like just shit like that. And then we would all sit down and basically collaborate, writing the lyrics together. Although he did write a majority, like he did take the lead on the lyric writing. We would help, like either maybe with a line or maybe a couple words, maybe change something around. But it was very collaborative, even writing the lyrics together. And then record his vocals that way. And then when we're done doing all that stuff, then we tracked the drums. We just had take out the fake drums, put the click on, and then had the real drums play over it. And that was the creative process for this album. It's very modern what a lot of bands do now. We're used to like everybody pick up their guitars, basses, and mic and drums, and let's just start jamming. But for this record, we really wanted to dial into a sound, and we really wanted to kind of zero in on creating something fresh and new, and didn't want to focus too much on like, well, we're jamming, but when you're jamming, you're not really focusing on the song. You're focusing on the part you're playing and focusing on how well you're playing it. But when you're writing like on a computer, it's almost like you're writing on like paper, or you're writing on a book on your tablet or something, where you can immediately look over what you just wrote and be like, oh, I actually dig that a lot. I appreciate that riff. I appreciate that arrangement better, as opposed to being in a garage and jamming together, which I'm not opposed to. I think this is the preferred way that I prefer to write now. And it worked out well. It worked out well. We did a ton of work during the demo process, and pretty much almost everything stayed. Like as far as like the demo tracks went, there
Oh
wasn't a
wow,
lot of
really?
stuff. Yeah, there wasn't a lot of stuff that we re-recorded. Maybe a couple riffs here and there, but predominantly like everything stayed. What's funny is that the only reason why we're not done with the album right now is because we have to schedule a session with our vocalist to come in, because he wants to re-record one verse in the last song that he needs to do. He wants to re-record it, and then pretty much we get the thumbs up. So that's the only thing that's
Yeah.
kind of holding the record up right now. Yeah, I mean, basically we all just worked at a computer together, and everybody, myself, Alex, and Brandon, or myself, Hondro, his name's Hondro, I always call him Alex. Myself, Hondro, and Brandon will pick up a guitar and we'll write together, and then that's how we wrote the album. And
I'm
then
I'm like,
we'll have Zach come in at a later date to do vocals and lyrics over that.
do you guys have a time frame of when the album's gonna be released?
We wanted it to be in January. We wanted it to be in like late January. Um, Unfortunately, like I just mentioned a minute ago, that there's a retracking session that does need to happen, and then we all need to
Yeah.
like sit down and listen to the album all the way through to make sure we're all 100%, which I think is most likely going to happen. Um, the problem is that in order to have the album out in January, we would have had to have done that basically late October, early November. But the problem with this time period is that like everybody has families flying in for the holidays, everybody has time off from work or is going on vacation or whatever might have you. So it's a very difficult time for us to schedule that time to get together. Um, I would say like if I was to give it like a time period, maybe February or March is more than likely. Because I think we're also doing physical printing for the CDs,
Ooh,
and,
sick.
and and physical media. So we need to manufacture those. So it's not just like, oh, I have the tracks, I can just upload it to our distribution and pick a date. No, we actually have to manufacture the content for it, the physical media for it, and that does take a little bit of time. So that's why we have to push it out a little bit more.
You,
Um, so I would say definitely by March it'll be out, but I think we're all really crossing our fingers and shooting for February right now.
hey, if you want a day for March 28th, it's a Friday. It's my birthday, so let's go.
Oh hell yeah! Like yeah, if it's around that time period, I'll be like, hey guys, March 28th, that's the day.
That's the day, yeah.
That's the one.
I'm excited, man, because I've been listening to the music and I'm just like, holy smokes, like I got blown away. I'm just like, dude, this is freaking loud. And then I started listening to the lyrics and I was I was blown away, dude. And I'm just like, holy smokes. I
Thank you.
I don't know. I wasn't expecting it. I wasn't expecting what I heard, and like literally, it just blew my socks off.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That's awesome.
And what has been some of the challenges or breakthroughs you guys have faced, and how have they shaped your journey?
Um, I think I think a challenge has definitely been scheduling because we all have very active lives. We all have like I have a family. I have a little boy. I have a wife. I know some of us in the band are married. Some of us have kids. Um, it's scheduling is a little difficult to do. So we do have the challenge of like we can't be one of these bands that like when you see their content on Reels or TikTok, you see them all together and they're doing stuff together. We're not that kind of band. We can't afford that time because the time that we do spend together, whether recording or practicing or we're doing something like a music video or something like that, or we're doing live performance, like we don't have that kind of time to dedicate to that kind of content. So it's been a little bit of a challenge for sure. But what I think it's done is helped us really focus on the things that need to be done and the work that really needs to be put in. Um, I would also say like I think this was before Zach, but dealing with singers who because Zach's been amazing the entire time he's been in the band. He's been great. But definitely the singers before Zach really made the core part of the band pull together. Myself, Alejandro, Brandon, and Alberto, our bassist, really made us kind of come together as brothers because we were dealing with very narcissistic frontmen at the time,
Oh shit.
and guys who kind of did a lot of harm in some of our lives, in some of our personal lives. They did a lot of harm, and they weren't responsible for their role and their title in the band. We had two previous vocalists before Zach, and definitely the guy before we had Zach, the one right before we had Zach, caused a lot of problems with the band publicly. He was a PR nightmare. He was one of those guys that, like when you see on the metal news sites, oh, so and so got canceled or so and so gets kicked out of the band or so and so gets caught with allegations, whatever. Like he was that dude. He's gonna end up being that kind of person, right?
Oh, he was a Ronnie Radke of your group.
Yeah, yeah. I would say he's definitely the Ronnie Radke, and definitely knew how to get people's attention, but in the wrong way. And I always say like one of my biggest regrets is playing with that person. It's probably I've been doing music since I was 12 years old, so I'm 35 years old now, so 23 years, and definitely the worst musical experience I've ever had working in a band was working with him. And he was only in the band for 9 months, so that's why I don't really count him as part of being in the band. We only released 2 songs with him, and he, like I said, he was in the band within a blink of an eye. Which it kind of helps us appreciate Zach a lot more because it's like, oh, he's a good guy and he's not here to like cause problems. He's not here to make this about himself, right? He's a team player and he's just a good dude. So it's kind of like it's one of those situations of like, those previous situations really brought us all together and made us appreciate where we are as a band now.
That's sick, man, and I'm glad that you guys have the band that you guys need and the vocalist that's freaking killing it. And right now, I want to talk about the three singles that, or the three single EP that, or I call it an EP because they were all put together, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that you guys released another song, and my bad, I didn't hear it, but I'm gonna listen to it. But I do
Yeah,
want to
you're
talk
good.
about. I do want to talk about Breakthrough, In the Light, and Within My Darkness. Like, what
Sure.
is the story behind those three songs? And because I listened to them and it just kind of, I don't know, it blew me away.
Yeah. Well, Within My Darkness was the first. So all these singles are for the album. The Light it wasn't really released as a single. It was kind of just released as it was released with Breakthrough as like a secret song kind of thing, like just kind of attached to Breakthrough. Um, but yeah, definitely we'll talk about it. Within My Darkness was the first single that we released for the album. It definitely, I think musically, definitely set a different example of what people are used to from us. It definitely is more of a metal song, not really leaning too far into like deathcore or death metal or thrash metal. It's just a straight up like metal song, and lyrically, I know Zach could probably explain the lyric meanings a lot better than I can, but I can only speak on like what I take away from the lyrics. And
Yeah.
Within My Darkness is just like it's about finding that strength and that kind of like that positivity within yourself when you're going through a hard time and you're going through a rough time, and you need that kind of like positive reinforcement. And especially like when you're standing up to somebody. I know in the lyrics it says it's, oh man, what the fuck is the lyric? I'm sorry, it always comes to my mind, but I always forget it for some reason. Oh man, drink from the well, drink from the well. Um, so you gave to, dude. See, I gotta look at the lyrics right now. I gotta check it out.
Yeah.
Um, but anyways, I just really love the messages for those songs. Oh, here we go. Okay. See, I was prepared. I was prepared. Um, your lies are poison, and I'm thirsty as hell. Drink from the well. So, like my favorite verse from that is the first verse, which is so crushed, our trust is broken in agony with our shattered bones. Make me believe it. Your lies are poison, and I'm thirsty as hell. Drink from the well. As I give you, take from me. The knife in my back keeps on puncturing me. Down on my knees, I beg of thee. Within my darkness, my hate runs free. Um, when I'm feeling the song is like the next part, which is walk through the fire as I step on your throat. Fuck you, you call me worthless. Watch me become invincible. Um, I've had that feeling from maybe an ex partner or an ex friend or whoever, where they do make you feel worthless, or they do call you worthless, or they make you feel less than. And I think like my whole thinking on that is like, well, fuck you. I'm gonna be somebody better than that. I'm gonna be something worth something. And I think that's kind of what Zach was trying to go
Trying
for
to
with
put
the
out.
song.
Yeah.
Yeah. Finding that, like I said, finding that strength, like within my darkness, my hate runs free. Like within yourself, you just, I don't know. I know, like talking about the music, like I can definitely talk way more about the music of those songs. Breakthrough. Breakthrough is probably very similar to Within My Darkness. I know we were on the same wavelength as far as like writing about I think like oceans. Like I got this like vibe of like the ocean with the song. So we were kind of going with like this like sea monster vibe, like this like there's something under the waves, there's something deep in the ocean, there's something deep within yourself, there's something. So it kept getting more. It went from like this very fantasy realm to becoming more personal. And
Yeah.
I think that Zach really kind of he ran with that thought process, because we're talking about monsters, and which is like my favorite shit. Um, with the lyrics, in the way the ocean pulls me into the deep, when you recognize the monsters, they break through. I think like that's been a mantra for me for this year, is like just like allowing myself to become that person that people call me, like just kind of like you're almost like, I think there's a whole TikTok trend going on like right now about like accepting your villain arc. Like you're going through your villain arc right now. I think that Breakthrough definitely speaks to that. Like, I'm gonna let this motherfucker come out and break through.
Yeah. Fuck
um,
yeah.
yeah. And the light is an anti-suicide song. So that song is a song that means a lot to Zach. That was definitely a song that there wasn't a lot of. I remember when we were talking about the light with Zach, there wasn't a ton of explanation on what the song was about, except that it's an anti-suicide song, and it's very like point blank, like very very right there, right? Like that's a song you listen to when you're like, no, I'm not gonna go down that path. I'm gonna go down a separate path. I'm gonna go down a new path, a better path. That's more or less the kind of song that is.
That's amazing, man. I love that. And honestly, I'm a huge fan of. Again, I call it EP because there was three songs in it, even though they were
Yeah,
singles. But when I listened to it, I was like, oh snap! Like I gotta go back and listen to this again because I know what I just heard, but I just need to listen to it again because I wasn't expecting that.
yeah, yeah. It's I know it's under an EP. We just released Everything I Am, our new single. Just came out today,
Yeah.
November 26th. Um, so we're doing what's called the waterfall release strategy, which a lot of bands are doing now, which is when you're getting ready to pump out an album, you'll drop the first single, and then when you do the second single, it'll be both singles attached to each other. And then when you drop the third single, then it'll be all three singles attached to each other and maybe a B-side. And you kind of build into releasing the album. So that's kind of like what we're doing right now is we're kind of like building, it's like building blocks. Like first it was just one song, and then it was two, and then it was three, and now we're at four. Now we're kind of like ready to rock and roll. So yeah, it's an EP for sure, but yeah, it's a very interesting marketing strategy for sure.
Can you tell me a little bit something about Everything I Am?
Yeah, Everything I Am is probably one of the most important songs on the album in my opinion, because it's a great example of all the music that's on the album. It's melodic in its ways, but there's also a strong emphasis on electronics and on synths, and we do a lot more of that on the record. And so I think in that way, it kind of gives you a glimpse into where we're going for on the album, but also what we're going for in the future. A lot of these songs are almost 2 years old. So
Oh, okay.
yeah, because we spent this last year wrapping up drums and mixing the entire record. And then before that was just like doing vocals basically. So musically speaking, the album's been done for like 2 years basically. And I know like we've been we've been itching to write for a while now. And I know there's a lot of ideas about like working on like what the newer music's going to be like, and I think that there's a lot of ideas about the electronics and how we're going to incorporate that into our live show and into new music, and maybe making that like a bigger piece of the puzzle. So Everything I Am has like basically it's like a crystal ball. Like you can kind of see what's on the album a little bit. You get a better idea of what's on the record, but you're also getting a glimpse in the future, like where we're going, what the trajectory is for the band after the album, which is pretty interesting. Um, it has one of the heaviest breakdowns on the album too. Like that breakdown is fucking filthy as shit. Probably like as far as like gutturals, like probably Zach's best guttural performance on the record is on that song, in my opinion.
Ooh.
And I just think like it's just super jumpy. Like it's a jumpy song, and it's a lot of fun to play. It's the song we've been opening our shows with this last year, and it is such a great song to open the show for because it's fun. It's just like a fun bouncing song, and then you get into the breakdown that just it brings the fucking house down. So it's a really really cool song, very dynamic but very straightforward at the same time.
Man, that's so sick, and I can't wait to listen to it. I don't know, man. I've been so busy today that I just kind of forgot, and I was like, wait a minute, damn it.
Yeah, no worries. It just came out today. It just came out today.
Oh, and man, you said March. I mean February, January. Man,
Yeah,
that's it. That
yeah, definitely not January. Like January's off the table. It's definitely February, March is what we're looking at.
that's gonna be. And do you guys have the album name, or is that still in the works?
We know what the album name is going to be. We're not ready to announce that just yet. It's not a big deal. It's when the album name comes out, everyone's going to be like, oh shit, okay, of course. So it's not a big deal. We do have the cover art's ready to go. We kind of know how we want the album sequence, so we know how the tracks are going to be. We're very far along in a lot of that stuff already. A lot of it is just like a lot of basically we just need the whole band to do what you want to call like approvals. Like, are we good with this? Are we good with this? We good with this? There's just a lot of like that thumbs up that's about to happen. But we're pretty far along into like wrapping the record up.
That's amazing. I bet everybody listening to this and me myself, I'm ready for the next year, and I'm ready to listen to more music because like I wasn't expecting like literally listening to y'all's music like kind of just like throat punched me or something, and I was just like holy. It was like maybe 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and then I start listening. I'm like, okay, like this is good.
Yeah.
I guess I'm gonna be up for the rest of the night then.
Yeah, it's a very so this record too is very diverse. Like it's for the kind of music that we've released in the past. This record is very diverse. There's a lot going on. It's not just like I know like one of the fastest songs we've written is on this record. One of the slowest like mid tempo songs is on here. We have a song that's gonna piss a lot of people off. Like a lot of our followers who have followed the band because of our like more heavier shit. When they hear this one song, which I can't speak too much about, they're gonna be upset because we did do a song that's a little kind of out of the realm of what we normally do. But I think
Yeah.
we're all excited. We're all excited to see what the response is going to be on that song because it's such a different song than like what we've ever done. Um,
Hey, you're saying that it's gonna piss people off, but I'm pretty sure they're gonna fucking love it.
right, right. It's definitely going to get. We call it the ladies song. Like it's gonna. The girls are going to like it for sure. The
Oh,
girls are going to
okay.
like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know about the dudes with the battle vest and running the pit. I don't know if it's going to be a pit song, but
Yeah.
the ladies are going to like it.
That's
Um,
amazing.
and there's guitar solos everywhere. I know one song like when you hear it, you'll get the context of it. But one song has like 4 guitar solos. Like it's fucking insane. Like we threw the rule book out with this album. We said we're gonna write whatever we feel, and so you're getting a lot of different kind of sauces with this album. There's a lot of different things. There's like the most technical song we've ever written is on this album, and then there's the most simplest, easy 4 chord like song we've ever written. Like, it's almost a hardcore song in a way. So there's
Dude,
so
hell
much
yeah.
wrapped up on this album. But the good thing is, I think something we were really focused on when we were writing this album is we're not trying to do something that's like we want the album to be like a movie. Like we want it to be very dynamic. We want it to have its big action parts, its big climactic parts, and we wanted to have its like more chiller parts, right? So we want to go up and down a lot. But we also don't want each song to sound like a different band. We want the entire album to sound cohesive and to sound like it's one band, just writing in different ways. I think some bands, when they write diverse records, they tend to get lost in a little bit, and it sounds like, wait, is this the same band? Is this that's We wanted to really focus on like, no, this is us, and when you hear the songs, you're gonna know it's us. It's just us, but in a different light, in a different shade.
Yeah, and
Hopefully that's
every album is a journey, so I'm
yeah.
sure everybody's ready for that journey, and like let's see where that journey takes us.
Yeah, I think too, like just using I don't know if the sequence of the singles have been very good as far as like giving an example of how diverse, but like Within My Darkness is a very straightforward song. And then Breakthrough has like a lot of clean vocals on there that's like a lot of soaring, kind of clean, very beautiful melodies. And then Everything I Am is very I don't know, like cyberpunky, like very like electronic, and like the intro like reminds me of like a clubhouse song. Like it's like getting the party started, get everybody jump to the dance floor real quick, and then we kick into it and with this mean guttural, and the light's very thrash metally a little bit. It has like a Lamb of God vibe to it. So
Yeah.
you kind of already getting like little hints of diversity, but there's a lot more diversity on the record. There's a lot more that we're kind of holding back, but we're doing it on purpose. We're holding it back until it drops.
Oh yeah, man, and I can't wait. February, March, 2025. Be sure to check out their music, guys. And where can we find you guys, social media
Uh,
wise?
Social media wise, our biggest page, the page that we run all of our shit off of, is Instagram. So you guys can find us at Defy The Tyrants on Instagram. Same thing on TikTok at Defy The Tyrants. All of our music videos, lyric videos, vlogs, all kinds of stuff is on our YouTube channel. We take our YouTube channel very seriously, so there's a lot of stuff on there right now, including our lyric video for the single "Everything I Am," and obviously like Facebook, but like I don't really use Facebook all that much anymore. So I would say Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. That's where you want to find us, and Defy The Tyrants at all those channels.
So yeah, man, and I like to end every conversation with this question because you never know what you're gonna get. Um, so if you were stuck in an elevator with any musician, dead or alive, who would it be, and what would you talk about?
Oh fuck! If I was stuck in an elevator with any musician dead or alive, It would probably be oh man, damn it. I'll have to go with Dimebag Daryl. I'll have to go with Daryl. I think the Pantera is one of my favorite bands. Dime is one of the biggest influences I've ever had on guitar. I think he's such an eccentric person. So many stories. If you like watch interviews with other musicians that knew him, they just have stories upon stories upon stories. So you're gonna get tips and tricks. You're gonna get like discussions about guitar. You're gonna get discussions about everything from God to pussy to movies to whatever the fuck with Daryl. So I would have to say, like, I think definitely hanging out with Dimebag Daryl in an elevator, hanging out with Dimebag Daryl in an elevator would be a treat, for sure.
That'd be fucking wild.
Yeah.
I actually met Vinny in 2017, and that was the best thing ever of my life.
Oh wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, but
That's no.
it was wild.
Yeah, that's cool shit. Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was with Hell Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Were they on tour, or did you just randomly run into them? How did that come about?
No, they were on tour, and I got to the venue early because ironically I was doing my first interview ever in 2017,
Oh wow.
and to meet Vinnie Paul before my first ever interview, I was just like, "Yep, I'm in the right place. Like
Yeah, that's
this
cool.
is this is where I belong."
Yeah, that's cool as shit, man. That's awesome.
But I want to thank you for joining me, man. This was fun. We talked music, we talked albums, we talked politics. Like that was crazy that we literally talked politics for like 10 minutes.
Yeah, right. I don't know if I regret that or not, but I'm always open to conversations no matter what. I think
Hey,
that's where a lot of the detriment comes with a lot of people and like these, whether you're left or right or whatever. Like I think have a conversation and figure out like where the other person is coming from. I think I'm the kind of person I believe most conversations can fix most problems.
definitely. And if anybody wants to fight the bass player because this dude's the guitarist, man.
Exactly.
But I want to thank everybody for listening. I want to thank you for giving me the time. And remember, everybody, that without music, life would be a mistake. All right, it's merged now.